So I finally decided to build a DIY recumbent. This is my third attempt. The first two you'll see maybe some screenshots and snips of them on my this video, maybe some older videos. Anyway, the third attempt, I'm determined this time to make it a rear wheel drive, despite the long chain. Blah blah blah. We'll see. We'll see if I can do that. So here I go. So this video is basically the first part of hopefully a series of 3. So this is going to be all about the thinking, the ideating, sort of the planning, early stages. Lots of rambling, and lots of things which probably will never work, and it'll never end up in the final design. Maybe this will document some clear flaws in early thinking, which, you know, when the rubber hits the road, so to speak, which don't see the light of day. So yeah, this is part 1, and hopefully something interesting emerges from this. Enjoy. Okay, so I'm playing with the idea of using this scooter and this BMX and making a recumbent. So it will be somewhere like this: forward wheel drive, sit here somehow with the seat, and the pedals over here somewhere. So this would be almost like a unicycle. Something like that. So this headset fork thingy from there, from the BMX, I think might be compatible. We shall see. So this diameter, maybe use this head tube thing to create enough reach for the arms. I'll go pretty slowly. I don't have any gears on this. It will be a proof of concept, I guess. It looks pretty funny if you have right over here, perpendicular to the tangent to the wheel, so that's where it'll be, probably somewhere around here. Going up, not sure how the seat will fit. I've got an old kid's seat, and I've got maybe a chair like this. I'm not sure. First of all, let's decide whether to do this or not. Okay, so the plan right now is to cut off parts of the frame itself, which will enable a whole recumbent to be built from just one bike. So Abhimanyu, this part here, like I was saying, will be the boom. It will go in the front over here. Can you take this in the hand and just take a film of me? I'll just be in the front, and you can just take a film so that I know the dimensions. Okay, you take a film. Go back, and my whole legs, everything comes. Okay, so it will be feet a little bit higher than this over here. Imagine this. So my legs have to go over this part, and I have to pedal like this. So either the handlebar can come from above over here like this, or it can come from, this can be turned down, and I can have it here like this. This might not be so bad if it doesn't get in the way of the legs. So this is the length. See? The pedals, the extremity of the pedals motion has to end over there, approximately. Yeah, maybe a little bit plus minus according to where the seat is. This has to be higher. The seat has to be higher than this point, so that the lower part of my thigh doesn't bump against the handlebar as I'm twisting it around. Yeah, that's the idea. Not sure if I'll do it or not.
Papa, can I go home now?
Okay. Alright. So here's the drill I got. Also a little attachment in the front, which will come from China soon, to convert this into an angle grinder if needed. And which brings me to when it'll be needed. I think I've made up my mind. I'm gonna convert this into a rear wheel drive, well, I guess low base recumbent. And it's gonna be an interesting project because of a little risky maneuver. Don't know why I'm exactly doing this, but cutting this is appealing to me at some level. I have no idea why. Maybe just because it's so over-engineered, seemingly. A bike which is beefy, heavy, high 10 speed, I guess, high 10 steel, I guess. So here's the plan. Yeah, cut it round about. Well, first of all, straight line here, straight line here. Need to mark it somehow, both sides. Take my angle grinder and cut right about from here to here, here to here in a straight line. I have no idea if I'll be able to manage that, but hopefully. Then, after I've cut on both sides, try to chop it off at an angle here, like something like this, as far as I can, maybe over here, as close to. I try to leave a little bit behind. I'll tell you why. But yeah, cut it off here, and then over here, where it goes to the seat tube, and then the chain stays. So this is a bit dicey. I'm not sure if this weld is enough, but on the face of it, this seems pretty strong. And you have this arc. Yes, I'll be sitting here, so the weight will be distributed across the front and the back. However, if this down tube isn't there, is it going to survive? I wonder. It's almost experiment is less recumbent and more how strong are these welds? Will they survive regular cycling? Well, not BMX cycling, but regular recumbent cycling. Anyway, we shall see. The plan is cut it off there, cut it off there. So this whole thing becomes a boom in the front. So I'm going to use these two arms, which will be hopefully cut out from this, to slide it across from here like this. Slide it from the front and screw in at least 2 screws, hopefully 3. 1, 2, 3. So the approx distances in my head are kind of, it has to be 40 centimeters here and then 170 for the pedal. So about, well, 40 from here. So it's about 30 centimeters in front of the bike from here, and then 170 with the pedal, right? To the center is this to this should be about 40 centimeters. Something like that, yeah. We'll need to measure that out a little bit and hopefully not make a huge, massive mess. We shall see how it goes. So that's the idea. What are the tools? What are the parts? And the rest is going to be a little bit of runtime. So this is what would have looked like. So I've been watching lots of videos on recumbents, and this under the. I mean, I like what people have built, but I don't want to have. Maybe I do. I don't know if I do or not, but maybe I should try under the seat handlebars first, because to have them up here and then feels more secure to have something in front of you. I guess it is probably secure. It would be odd to have just nothing in front of you while you're riding. It might be fun though to see. So what I'm thinking is, I was originally thinking of cutting off this top bar here for this handlebar and then twisting it downwards. But then I guess so this part needlessly interferes with the legs and stuff. I guess I would need to position the seat a little bit higher than there, etc., etc. Ideally, I would like to have the seat right here, as low as possible. So idea here is remove this entirely and then drill a hole in the center of well, not this, but the handlebar, see, and then I can use this hole to essentially have the bar be directly fixed to the fork. I don't know how strong that'll be, but maybe I could reinforce it somehow by having two more holes. On the other hand, this may weaken the force. Maybe well, not holes, but I could find some way using, I guess, a hose clamp, a pipe clamp of some sort. I will figure it out. But yeah, but use this hole, existing hole, and then the bars would just come out. Maybe the front is better than the back. Yeah, because then they'll. Well, I don't know which is better, but yeah. So this is how the bars might come out. So this bar might be this way. Yeah, it might work. So let's see how far it. Yeah, and then what about the chain? That's what I was wondering, because if the chain has to go from here to here, will the wheel get in the way? Possibly. Definitely the brake cable can manage that, but the wheel is more, depends on the angle, I guess. If it's over here, possibly not. Possibly not. So do I need to have those pulley kind of, those skateboard wheels, or pulley wheels which people have to manage chains? Wonder if I can get away without any chain management. Well, we'll see. Not a big deal. Either way, I'll learn how to manage the chain. Another big issue I'm trying to figure out is the gear ratio. This is a fixed. It's a BMX, so it's a fixed gear bike. Single speed. No, sorry, not fixed gear. My bad. Single speed. It has a free wheel. It's a BMX. So one getaway I was thinking is buy a bigger chain ring. Drill holes here based on whatever BCD and 4 or 5 holes, and then just literally screw the bigger chain ring onto this. It's a solid piece. So that might be one way to do it. And I really don't want to change the hub and this kind of stuff, because this is a single piece crankset from for a BMX. Pretty cheap and low budget. So I don't know if I want to change the whole bottom bracket. And one thing I could do is widen the rear chain stay thingy, whatever it is called, the chain stays here, widen them up at from 110, I guess, 110 millimeters to 135, 130, something like that, over here. And then I can fix 5-speed, maybe like a kid's bike wheel, 20-inch behind. If I do that, I'll need to add a derailleur here. There is of course no slot for it, but I could either create one or get one of those which hook onto this axle, something like that. In which case, then I'll need to buy and install the gear changing cable, this kind of stuff. We will see. I think the first thing to do is just to start doing it and testing it out, maybe in a fixed gear setup, and figure out the gearing, etc. issue once I know that it actually doesn't collapse under my weight. Because yeah, to be honest, the cutting the steel down tube thing is really the critical part of it. I'm not very sure still of how this whole thing will react to the different forces, etc., acting on it. This triangle here will be lost. This triangle will be lost, of course. So yeah, so this could snap this way. This could snap this way. Lots of snapping. Yeah, or it could even literally snap here, right? I don't know. Yeah, it's just something like that. We shall see. So I found this kid's seat, very, very dirty and bad shape. So I succumbed to temptation and picked it up from the trash. So now I think I can wash it up properly, and it seems to be the correct dimensions to become a pretty cool recumbent seat. Much more comfortable probably than a DIY contraption made of planks of wood. We'll see. I think maybe I can use these existing points there, see those 4 ones, to secure it somehow to the frame. We shall see. So wisdom finally prevailed. I decided against using the same cut frame as my base. I got a new, very cheap, a 15 euro second-hand junk recumbent, and this is what I'm going to use as the base. I'm going to use the BMX only for the boom. So it will look something like this. You can see the child seat, you can see the boom. All right, so I've been thinking over how to manage the chains and the gear ratios and stuff like that. So for my electric bike, I replaced the 44T, I think it was, chainring with one. I had to replace the entire crankset, a light pro crankset I got for 50 with the 56T chainring, and I tried this out today. It's still not super fast or anything because of the 16-inch wheels, but it's somewhat at least now tolerable. Basically, to pedal on relatively flat surface, I can't even still outpace the 25 kilometers per hour, which the electric motor caps out at. So it's still less, on an average cadence, less than 25 kilometers per hour with these tiny 16-inch wheels. Well, it looks pretty nice, right? Yeah, look at this. Anyway, so the idea came to me is that for my project with the recumbent, I would not just run a massive chain from here all the way to the front, but what about if I just add a double chain ring here? So this would be maybe like a 40 something, 44, 48 T chain ring here, drops down to, I don't know, something like 32 T here, and then this one I think is again 46, 48, something like this T. I don't know how to properly count it even, but I'm assuming it's, let's say, 48 T. So yeah, so you would essentially have an effective between 70-ish, the equivalent of a 70 to 80 T huge chain ring here, which is impossible to get. I would ideally want to have at least 70 T here, which is, again, like I said, impossible to get. However, that idea would enable big chain ring here to small chain ring here, and then this same on the same line you would have this bigger chain ring. So essentially, I would be able to get a massive speed, top speed, and I'll retain this 6-speed freewheel at the back, which is I think at 14T to 28T, I'm guessing 14 to 28. Anyway, so that's the idea. Why didn't this? And I'm sure you have to just have triple crank sets, which most MTBs or kids MTBs even have, right? I think those will be like maybe 30 something in the middle, 24T in the smaller one, and maybe 38 or 40, 42. Yeah, I guess 42, 30 something, and then 24T. Yeah, so that 42T could still be used to drive the back wheel, and then I could use the 24T to be connected to the front. So that'll work out fine, I guess. I'll get my desired approximately 70 or 80T effective chain ring in front. I don't know how that'll work out. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I can see the chain line may or may not need to be managed. Not trying to imagine the crank somewhere here. Yeah, the wheel here. So the top, the one under tension, at least I think it'll go straight through. The one below probably will need to be raised up so that not to interfere with the turning of the front wheel. Yeah, pretty excited about what this might enable. Although I'll definitely need to then cut off the crank arm here, and of course remove that one, hopefully not too rusted or too tight other one. But this one, which I would have otherwise removed entirely, I can retain, but need to cut this off, otherwise it'll just keep pedaling like crazy. Good. There's something else to fix here. This drum brakes.
which I have no idea how they even work properly. I just looked it up online. Seems to be that kind of moving around. Are they broken? Not sure what's happening there. Are they supposed to be tight? Sorry, my camera. Okay, here it is. So pressing it now, sort of pulling. I can see what's happening here. Like that little arm is pulling with the cable, and then this part. Oops, something just fell down there. Not sure what the hell that is. It's all coming apart. Oh, is that part of the brake material there? Can't really see from much. I'll probably need to remove everything and see what happens. I can see. Okay. So this is supposed to, I guess, contract against some kind of disc. I can see a disc there. And I can see not much contracting going on. So this is supposed to pull. Okay, fine. So that material is either loose or totally disintegrated or something. There you go. So that's supposed to, I guess, stop this motion, this rotating motion with the. Okay, we'll open that up and see what's going on. Seems to have way too much material. I can even literally see a fold there. There you go. That fold, is it supposed to be there? Is it loose? I don't know what's going on. We'll see. So yeah, that's the brake thing. I need to figure out how it works and try to avoid breaking the leather on my sofa.
So here's the latest update. So apparently I was very, very wrong. I couldn't just invert the fork. So that was a crazy idea. I should have never considered it, but luckily AI, when questioned, pointed me towards the very important information that this head tube thingy, whatever it is, head tube, is apparently not symmetric. So brief context here. I had considered making the BMX upside down to conform to this form factor. Basically, imagine this would work. Ridiculous. Side, and neither are the bearing cups. They're sort of, I think, angled at a certain way so that the force which is exerted by the forks upwards onto the frame and the weight downwards, that they're designed for that basically. Yeah, and then also the potentially, I don't know if there's like a difference in. It's not just like a symmetric parallel lines inside. So, in short, because of the curvature and all that inside, it'll be impossible to have these forks up here. So my original crazy idea of having these upside down and the whole thing low to the ground is not going to work out. So, yeah, we'll see. I'll figure on this bike, because this bike is the donor bike, right? So I'm going to cut off this bottom tube. So I was wondering if I could use that frame itself somehow. We will see about that. Meanwhile, this is my actual frame I'm going to use as the base of the recumbent. And this child seat, which I found, is actually turning out to be perfect to be right here. So this geometry, I think, is going to be very nice. Probably a very comfortable ride and reasonably fast if I manage to make that gearing thing and the correct distance. The boom from the BMX up here, pedals, crankshaft, maybe a single, the one from the BMX. I have no way to put gears on that. So a single chain wheel from the BMX. It's a fixed crankset, so can't do anything with it. So, and then, I have an idea how to do it, but I don't need to, because you see why I don't need to is over here I'll be replacing this single chain wheel with this random find from a very generous donor who I made friends with. And this triple crank set which goes over here, the plan is I would have one chain line from the front come into the small wheel here, the small chain wheel. I think it's 24, 28, 24, yeah, 24 teeth. And then the big chain ring here
which is, how much is it? The big chain ring, 34 and 42. There you go. Well, I could also run it from 34, depending on, it's essentially a manual potential of a manual gear shift by just, sort of lifting it up. So yeah, so the 24 will rotate and then it will drive the 34 or the 42, depending on which I choose. Over here, and then it'll go back to the rear derailleur over here. I could, in theory, keep a front derailleur over here. So that is a potential possibility, but I don't think this tube is the right diameter and there's no distance really. I mean, no, I could, in theory. I don't know if there's enough space here for a rear derailleur. We shall see. Maybe not even, front derailleur. Well, I don't know, whatever it's called, middle derailleur, I guess. So the idea is chain runs from here over here. There'll be a roller here, at least a tube or a roller for the bottom side of the chain. Otherwise, it'll hit against. This is too high, I think, for the chain line. The top part of the chain will probably run very tight and without any obstruction, but this one I think will obstruct the bottom. So yeah, we'll have a chain wheel over here, just around, maybe attached to this part of the top part of the tube here, and this one here will effectively increase the crank size by that ratio, 42 divided by 24, so almost 1 point, well, it could be 34 or 42, so it'll essentially be about 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, I don't know, I'll calculate, but some between 1.5 and 1.8, let's say. So I think that ratio will effectively mean I have, well, let me do a quick math on this. 40, what was the original 40? So the BMX wheel is reasonably large. I'm surprised. I think it's 40 as well, or is it slightly bigger, maybe 40, 60. So effectively I'll have like a 60 teeth front wheel, which is pretty cool. I think it's going to be it'll offer maybe more 60 to 70 teeth, depending on which one I choose, the ratio which I choose. So depending on that, I'll have like I think a fairly reasonable speed, but also have the possibility of shifting to the lowest gear and having reasonable torque to go up hills and stuff. We shall see. Hopefully I can get all this working properly, gearing and chaining and all that kind of stuff, because this is pretty old and sort of falling apart. I've put like a little spanner thing I had here because this is broken, so it actually, the rear derailleur doesn't hold. I'll fix that a little bit better in a bit. Maybe replace the derailleur if it's quite wobbly and really old. So I think I may need to replace this one. Potentially repurpose this as the roller wheel in the front, or I could use a skateboard wheel. So yeah, anyway, so but it's a fairly simple fix. This one is a simple fix. And that one, in theory, is a fairly simple attachment here. So that's what we have going on here. And to keep the seat, this is a child seat with, I think it's a car seat. It doesn't have really any rails or anything. But what I plan to do is, from a different bicycle seat system which I had for kids, which I had lying around, these are the attachment bars for that. So my plan right now is to put this over here as the rollers, to put this as the, and I'm going to cut this part of the seat tube off so that it should come more or less parallel to the top tube here, something like this, and it'll go into a little notch which I'll make over here. That's the plan. So imagine this is cut off. I don't even need to cut off the whole thing. I think maybe it's better to have a little bit remaining. So I might cut it off at an angle here like this, something like this, at this angle, and a little notch here where this will rest. And the top part of it here,
I was thinking how I could attach it, because imagine now there'll be the boom, part of the boom coming up to about here. So imagine there, more or less, yeah. So the one of the bolts from the boom which will go through, I might make it bigger. So this could the two arms of the rails, potential rails, could use that as a support, not to go down. I'm thinking of ways to make it securely attach to, I don't want to drill more holes if I can avoid it into this top tube. This is literally just the one tube holding everything together. Maybe I could drill a small bore, maybe M4, something like that. But there might be some other creative way to keep this attached securely without, wobbling over like this. So that, yeah, I think maybe it might be doable. Maybe one or two here, and then securely clamp it. Well, not clamp it, but I'll figure out a way. I don't want to use too ghetto techniques. But I think there's a fairly, solid way to place the 2 points here and not have them go up, down, or left, right. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then the idea here is that this bolt already exists. I can have a sliding mechanism where the seat can go forward and back, a little bit of adjustment, and 2 or 3 holes over here where this bolt over here can determine the adjustment of the position, either forward or backwards. Similarly, this seat is pretty nice actually. I love this. The possibilities here with this seat is that because it's a child seat, it's got a fairly good way to change the angle of reclination. I don't trust that this joint, this hinge, is strong enough for the purpose here. It's definitely not designed for a recumbent, it's designed for a kid to just lay back. So I would need to figure out a way to reinforce the back for sure, because without that, this seat, when I push back while cycling, I think this back, I don't trust the plastic and that hinge over there in the plastic to last much. So I would definitely need to put something on the back here to make, I'm stress testing already. Okay, so something over here. I was thinking of having support run all the way here, but that might be overkill. Based on the positioning, I might just use these quite a short, so it won't go up all till the top here. It might be only till the lower back, basically. I think that might, if the support is strong, something like that, yeah. So imagine this is going to be down here. The seat is going to be all the way down. So I could use the back part of this post. Maybe I don't. Sorry, I can use like one long bolt running all the way through, and then have a L. Well, not even long, just L clamps, L brackets from here, something like that. Very specifically short distance here and a long distance here, both sides, and multiple ways, at least 3, maybe 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So 3 levels. So you can choose 3 levels of reclination. This, and it won't be really up high. It'll be probably somewhere, like I said, somewhere around here. Yeah, I think that should be enough. It's not. That is, I think, where most of the force is going to be exerted. It won't be on my upper back, probably. As I push with my legs, the hips, the force is going to be in the lower to mid part of this backrest. So I don't think it makes sense to have a huge, like a metal rod over here to support, because that's not, I think, needed. Maybe I could do it if I really need to, and I'll see how it goes. I'm fairly confident that this system is enough. Just L clamps here, which can be rotated and then so not clamp, my bad, L brackets. So L bracket here, L bracket there, rotate it, and then screws, 3 screws. May not be super elegant for 2 of the 3 positions, or maybe 1 of the 3 positions, because as the angle of the L bracket changes on the top here, you will find that there is an imperfect uh, surface here to screw onto. Although there is a little bit of a curvature there, but not enough probably to sit flush with the flat part of the L bracket. So I may need to improvise something wooden over here, which keeps the angle. So yeah, some L-shaped wooden piece over here, which makes sure that the screw is perpendicular. The screw head is perpendicular. The screw is perpendicular to this surface basically at all times as I screw it in. We shall see. I think that's a minor problem, but a little bit of improvisation with a wooden sleeve, not sleeve again, I don't know what it, some wooden insert will probably fix that. So there are lots of these, I think, nitty gritty issues as I'll probably face more as I start building this. Yeah, that's where we are. The tires, I washed this out a little bit. They look much better now, these rims. So I think I'm going to probably keep them for this version. If I really like it, I can get new ones, but these will look fine. The drum brake had like totally ripped. I opened it up and learned how it works because I had no idea. And interesting, it's fairly simple. The inner lining inside it, can I show you? I just attached it. Yeah, you can see there. The inner lining is almost missing entirely. So, and this was sort of rusted. I made probably a mistake. I don't know, but I cleaned it up with some. To clean the rust, I put some white vinegar on it. Maybe I should have used this alcohol and just rub it away, but it became yellow after a while. So I guess it has oxidized a little bit of the. I have ordered a new drum brake, so the new drum brake should also come with this hub. I don't know what it's called. The drum, I guess that's the drum of the. I'm not sure what these things are, but yeah, there's a lining which presses against this when I engage the brake, and that's what creates the friction. So the friction pad thing is new in the new brake, of course. Hopefully it works properly. In any case, the back brake is not going to take the brunt of it. It's going to be the front brake, which also I need to fix. But luckily, I think that should be straightforward. We have the attachments, and I'll have the cable run. Oh yeah, the handlebar. That brings me to the handlebar. I'm going to turn this around, and then have my BMX handlebar with the middle bit cut out. Hopefully attached correctly from here. I don't know if this curve will allow the placement of the BMX handlebar here, but that should be good. So this will go here like this, and then the BMX handlebar will come in at the right height. Maybe I could potentially not even use that if this perhaps not even needed. If I just keep this existing handlebar, as I switch this around, you'll have, I think, at this height, right? So at this level, maybe that's actually not, maybe the BMX isn't needed. This is nice and wide, so it'll have a lot of leverage. I don't know. Well, on my last recumbent, I did need the leverage because I had the front wheel drive and moving bottom bracket. So that was quite a challenge. I needed like massive handlebars to keep it stable. But in this case, because it's a rear wheel driving it, and the front wheel is like a regular Diamondback frame bicycle, it's not under any lateral forces. I think regardless, either this one or the BMX one, depending on ergonomics, comfort, I'll figure that out. Maybe the first version for the test run, I'll just keep this, not bother cutting the other one, etc., etc. And if I don't like it, then I'll consider the BMX one. So that's where we are. I think it's all coming together. Lots of, I had this other seat lying around. Maybe I'll use that on some other build or not. So lots of things coming into place, falling into place here, I think. Hopefully the chain stuff, etc., which I've never done before, I
managed to figure that out a little bit. I'm fairly confident now based on these diameters. The major initial problem I had, which had stopped me from building a bike like this one, was I wasn't sure if I could make the front boom rest securely. But based on what I've seen online from other people, as well as the BMX bike's very big fat front boom, I think that's made me very confident, because I'm pretty sure the two sides of the circular, which after cutting out the two flat parts, well, so sort of flat part of the side, I think I'm going to fit snugly over this. That's what's making me a little bit more confident. And as long as I drill screws at the right spacing, and we have the enough cantilever-ish, the leverage is correct, and I encountered nothing unexpected, I think I'm quite optimistic that I'll be able to keep a very fixed, stable, secure boom front for the pedaling, because I guess that's where most of the force is acting, right? As I pedal, I imagine the boom is trying to go this way, and then when I push down here, I imagine the boom is trying to twist around like this. So there's lots of, I think, the pedaling action is probably creating lots of tension in different directions. Angular this way, direction wise also maybe trying to move this way, like my original forward wheel drive. So all those things, I think hopefully 3 bolts placed here like this, 1, 2, 3, with maybe even the top part I could reattach it. I don't want to make this into Swiss cheese with too many holes. Maybe 3 should be enough, but maybe also a pipe clamp with the top. I'll replace the top parts of the tube from the BMX boom, but the wannabe boom. So this will effectively become a bigger diameter till here. 3 bolts and 2 pipe clamps, hose clamps over here to keep it all snugly fit. Although I imagine the bolts are what will take most of the brunt of the force. But I hope the bolts are secure enough to stop this motion, and that motion, lateral, rotational, as well as longitudinal in this way. We shall see. It's all very DIY and very sophisticated engineering, as you'll see. So I had a second thought right now regarding this railing arrangement. So this is fairly heavy, and there's no real reason for me to do all this shenanigan with the little notch here and figuring out a way to attach it to the frame, etc. And after all of that, it's going to be heavy, and there's not really that many positions which I expect forward and backward to really need. It's not like an analog scale. Even if there are certain discrete position, I'm pretty sure that should be okay. There's no real reason for that weight. So instead, what I might do is have 2 wooden blocks on both sides. Yeah, so one here, hopefully it fits on this side, but yeah, anyway, something like this thickness, and then 1 block here, the other block there, essentially a pipe clamp made of wood. Yeah, something like that, a clamp. So both this sides, and then have 2 bolts on, so 4 bolts in the wood. So 1, 2, 3, 4, or even 1 is enough. Well, 2, yeah, 2 is better. So 2 here, 2 there. So the 2 blocks press against the frame. I think that's better than drilling into the metal tube. I don't think I'm very comfortable making more holes than necessary in the tube. But so that clamp thing will keep it securely attached. I need to make the shape on the inside not too different, like as close as possible to follow this curve. So not quite a semicircle, but sort of like an oval, half an oval here, half an oval there, and the hose clamp equivalent in the wood should be able to keep. That would be an interesting carpentry / sculpture project, because I need to have it so that the flat part on the top is as perpendicular as possible to the axis, so that my seat isn't tilted. I might need a little bit of filing and fine tuning for those blocks here. Maybe I could do one block here, one block here. I think there'll be enough space after the boom makes its way till about here. So I should have this space available. So wood and that seat can rest on this like this, but parallel to the bar and then parallel to the tube. And then the seat itself can have a couple more holes. So I could in theory move it forward or backward a couple of positions. That might be better than having maybe I will think about it and see how it goes. This is not that heavy, but compared to the, it'll just add weight and complexity, and I think this whole big bar is not, it's a bit of an overkill maybe. And besides, I can still use it comes from this old seat, so I could still use it for a different project or have the seat. Not the kid though, I don't know what I'll use this for now, it's an old one, but I think I prefer the wood option if I can create it. We shall see. I'm not very sure if I have the skills to. It should be very simple, but haven't done it before. So time will tell if I develop the skills to make something like that.
So yeah, if you've watched this far, thank you, and I appreciate your interest and most of all patience, I guess. So this is I've been trying to figure out, the ratios, the angles, the distances, having a fun little time mulling this over in my mind. I have most of the parts ordered or in the house, and something like this, which you see on the screen right now, that's something which hopefully I can manage to pull off. The idea is very much for me to do a part 2 of this video of the build. Thank you and hope you join me.